Heavy wet snow. JC Long came in and helped out for this one. They also assisted keeping the highway open towards Omaha. Because we couldn't get any state plows this way. They at least kept it one lane, which was not a good deal. During the storm, Chief Hannon, along with the fire department, used the UTV that we received from the grant. And we picked up about 40 to 50 stranded motorists. It went south of U-10 to County Road I, north to basically Fremont, just south of Fremont. West it went to County Road 16. So that's basically Wahoo. And then just east County Road 5. So it got some miles on. We got it broken now. I think there's 300 miles on it right now.
Yeah.
So it definitely got used. Tim was there for about 16 and a half hours. So thank you for that as well.
Thanks, Tim.
It was fun.
I hope it has heat inside.
Huh?
Hope it has a heater inside.
Oh, it did, yeah.
It works good.
Yeah, it works good.
I got some videos at the end we can play. He pulled out a couple cars with it. Most of it was telling people, hey, it's too bad, leave your car here. We want to go someplace warm. So we hosted about 30 people at the fire station for a couple hours. And then it was random. You guys see the pavilion is down at I-10. Bob's working on it with the insurance company. And then just another thing, the alleys and streets are kind of a mess right now, just due to the wet, heavy snow and the rock and gravel. The utilities department is working on correcting that. So for within the last week or so. Anything else? We're gonna move up. Action items from the interlocal agreement with the village of Mead for the police force. So I think Brandon, you're something out to you as a email. We should have it. I guess I can probably give you guys a briefing of it and then we have questions you can ask them. They reached out to us a couple years ago, asked us for some assistance when they couldn't hire someone. And at that time, we were in the process of it and hiring someone. And worked out for 2 years, year and a half. That guy ended up leaving. They've been without somebody for 6 to 8 months now, again. Still posted currently. They reached out to us asking for some assistance again, either until they get it filled or until this agreement works out with them. We'll keep it the way it is. The way the agreement's wrote in that interlocal, it says that if we have a cop on U-10, we'll make ground where we need. We're not doing ordinances. We're not doing violations, moving violations, stuff like that, traffic enforcement. That's police presence and in city meeting, answering calls if we got a U-10 cop on, say there's a domestic or whatever it is, answering calls over there. U-10 calls will take priority, and stay doing the interlocal. Like I said, there's a volleyball game there and U-10 has nothing going on, they might go there for an hour or two. Back and forth. It's just kind of working together, helping each other out. We came up with a set price of $2,500 a month, which fits into their budget. There's no hours attached to that. And if for some reason we get into a bigger investigation or we need more money because something happened, they have a little bit of slush money for that. So if we have an investigation that takes up 40 hours or something, they're under the impression, they're well aware of it, that they'll work it out with us and take in such funds. Tim has met with them with Mike Corrigan. We didn't get the interlocal until Friday, but their last board meeting, they approved basically everything other than the interlocal. If we accept it, they'll have a special meeting this next week to approve the rescinding. So anyway. We also talked, there's probably some questions, but if it's a Friday night, you've got a football game, your kid's got a football game, or UTV could say U-10, cop car can go to meeting back and forth. Whatever. We double duty up. The cops on at the same time, cover both places. Questions? That's me and Tim. Sure.
We're getting one of the shits covered. We're getting better. We have a meeting tonight, but now that we're gonna address that, so that's on our agenda.
You don't see an issue with this as far as.
I don't, because I mean, the way it's set up, and once we have somebody on, I mean, it's gonna be working both towns. Which I think after this meeting tonight, we'll know a little bit better what.
Yeah, put some mandates on there, so this is after work, this many hours a month, but.
Tim and Terry generally supportive of entering this agreement.
Yes.
Okay. What's the out clauses? If for some reason this doesn't work out for us and we want to pull out, do we have the ability to do so? 30 days, correct?
Or did you change that to 60? What is your S 30? Imagine 60.
That was what our request was, 6 weeks.
30.
Just for the meeting.
Yeah. That's,
We'll make sure we get changed.
I think, 60 or 90.
And again, that 2,500, that's not based on a certain set of hours spent in the, right? I mean, that's just.
And that's what we're kind of concerned about, like to keep track of, yeah, the amount of tracking that you would have to do on it. That becomes overwhelming. So kind of what we figured is. Tim will have the whole schedule, what everybody worked at the end of the month. Then he'll just send that schedule over to them and say, this is the cover you have for this month. He can just print that schedule right out and send it.
Part of that also flexibility for also stuck over here for a 10-hour investigation or large scale event. Needs also to be understanding that, we didn't see a cruiser, but we used some real work and so. Have that flexibility to it as well.
So they had a special meeting next week. It would be effective basically April 1st.
And motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve resolution 125-2 to enter an interlocal agreement with the Village of Mead. To contract for police and law enforcement services. Second.
A motion to approve resolution 2025-2 to enter a interlocal agreement with the Village of Mead to contract for police and law enforcement services was made by Chittenden and seconded by Lawton. Schmitty,
Yes.
Chittenden,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lawton.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go back to ordinance and public hearings. Ordinance 812, planning and zoning procedure changes. Give her a word.
Okay, this one's pretty straightforward. You guys know we're down to 5 plus an alternate. State law allows you to have 5 as a number. So the ordinance that is presented to you would codify that number in addition to a couple of procedural changes that both simplify what the planning commission does and reflects more modern procedure. There's not really a lot of controversy here. The planning commission did look at this their last meeting. They made some of their own recommendations. And that's all discussed in the staff memo. There's not a whole lot to run through on this one. If you have any questions though, we can take those at this time.
When it comes to the alternate, Robert, is that somebody that we need to appoint beforehand or
It's already done.
it's already done?
We currently have an alternate.
Perfect.
Yep.
Well, they did say it can be a city employee.
So, yes.
That's what their final deal was.
Okay, so I'll go backwards. Yeah, so the current language in our municipal code states that planning commission member shall hold no other city office. In addition to a couple other things, the way that I interpreted that, it both means someone who would be an employee of the city, someone who would be contracted as an appointment for something, like say city engineer, but also maybe someone who would be already appointed to a board or a commission or a committee of some kind. So I reduced that language down to state law, which only states that they can't be an elected official and in the CRA. And planning commission, when they reviewed this, didn't want city employees to also be qualified candidates due to there being a potential conflict of interest, which is totally understandable. So the language that they would prefer to prohibit a person employed with the city from being a qualified candidate is now in there. Does that answer the question well?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome, but that would still, the way it was worded, it would still allow someone that was maybe on one of the other boards to be brought in as well.
I'll open the public hearing at 7:12. Any questions? Close the public hearing at 7:13. For motion to approve or deny the first reading, and also if you'd like to waive the next two readings.
I'll make a motion to waive the next two readings and approve ordinance 812, amending Article 2, Section 2 of the municipal code.
Second.
A motion to approve the first reading and waive the next second two readings of ordinance 812 was made by Sheminti and seconded by Chittenden.
Yes.
Yes.
Smith, Lawton,
Yes.
Sheminti.
Yes.
Moving on, ordinance 813. Text amendment request. Albert, you're up again.
Alrighty, so Kirby Gum Investments, which is the group that built the new flex base down on the highway, have requested an amendment to our zoning ordinance that would allow lit signs to be permitted in the highway business, light industrial, and heavy industrial zoning districts where they are currently prohibited. If you start with attachment 1, this would be the amended section excerpt that you would consider approving. So what you'll notice is that in section 70701 of the zoning ordinance, the section allows lit or animated signs as a conditional use in the B1, the B2, and then the highway overlay districts. Otherwise, they're not permitted. The section also has additional separate allowances for signs in the highway overlay district that actually conflict with the allowances that are described in the underlying district. Specifically, for example, the highway overlay district basically it does not want to speak that term here. It does allow by conditional use in certain areas these kind of signs, but if the underlying district prohibits them, the way that the zoning is written, you have to go with the more strict regulation. This is standard in all zoning. This has pretty much been adopted around the nation as the standard way of doing something. You go with what's most prohibitive. So there's this weird dichotomy where it's a conditional use if you're in the highway overlay district, but the district itself that it's applicable to is not permitted. So the staff and the planning commission have recommended that that specific section for the highway overlay tie to the underlying district. try and prevent that discrepancy. Now. So the requested amendment is gonna be reflected in that first page of the attachment one. You're going to notice that there's a new section. The planning commission, when they reviewed this, separated lit signs from animated signs. They determined that animated signs would have different impacts than a simple lit sign. So they split them up, making a conditional use allowance for animated signs in the B3, and then I1 and I2 zoning districts. But still working with the applicant's request where those lit signs would be permitted in B3, I1 and I2. Generally, I think that does make sense. I think at some point in time this year, we're going to have a bigger conversation about whether or not it makes sense for us to regulate signs in general. But right now, trying just to work with what the zoning ordinance has and what the applicants want, this works. And the planning commission, I agree with them, honestly. The animated signs do have different impacts. I'm going to add that there appears to be some discrepancy in how the sign regulations have been applied. And I'm willing to guess that in part that's because people didn't know we had sign regulations. There are lots of animated signs where they shouldn't be permitted around town. There's a lot of animated signs where they shouldn't have been permitted. Doesn't matter. That's just what it is. We can't really go back on that. But this is again comes to the question of we need to have a talk about what we're regulating and if we're serious about it. It's like I said, there's a few animated signs around here that shouldn't have been. Let's leave it at that. You're getting toward what I'm after here. Okay. So other than that, most of the recommended associated amendments that needed to be made in order to work with the applicant's request were also incorporated into this draft recommended by the planning commission. There's also some discussion in the staff memo about the difference between a lighted sign and an illuminated sign. The zoning ordinance references lighted, but doesn't have a definition for lighted. The draft you guys have in front of you changes every lighted sign to illuminated in order to match the definition section. So other than that, potential findings that you could adopt have been included in the draft ordinance, starts on page 4. The applicant, Trent Gum, is here. And other than giving him an opportunity in the public to speak on this, I'm giving some you have for now.
So it's illuminated requirement, you have the viewpoint kitchen, illuminated. Or
Correct.
whatever the other one is, would be like the Macrobeca sign, where it's just lit from other sources. of light,
I
correct?
think they're both illuminated. I'm sorry. In answer to your question, I would consider them both illuminated. Animated would be like
Right,
church or the fire department
where
or
it's got the scrolling.
exactly. Exactly.
The city sign. Fire station.
Okay.
The city sign.
The city sign has gone through the state and was approved by the state, so. Back in the 90s.
To be 100% clear, you know, I don't know. They changed that sign out recently. They never talked to us about it. And to be clear, there's no permitting requirements for signs either. So we're regulating something, but we're not, there's no review process for it. And again, we're gonna be having a big conversation.
So
at some point.
there's like a handyman sign out there, right, that's got lights on it.
Okay.
Is that what we're questioning this about? Like, is that the type of sign that's going?
No, this one's on the building itself,
Just on the
and it's
building.
just backlit.
Oh,
That makes sense.
Right.
So it's just, we're gonna have that eliminated.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the conversation to kind of clean up whatever's in the book right now, but I mean, for example, if there was a Runza on the corner of the industrial park, are we really gonna tell Runza they can't have an animated sign that says
Exactly.
$1.99 shakes? or whatever?
Exactly. Yep,
So,
yep. And again, like, for example, Dollar General shouldn't have had their lit sign according to these regulations.
so in the interim, by approving the proposed language, we can allow new signs to be constructed, and then at a later time, probably this summer, we'll go in and clean up the rest of it.
That's the idea.
Okay.
Anything else for Robert?
No, that kind of, my biggest concern is, which not in your case, you want to put a backlit sign up on a building, great. I think you should do it, but I don't want a cow saying, let's say all of a sudden McDonald's pops up there and we have a 60-foot tall yellow M glowing through half the town. I know that's absurd and over the top, but that would concern me, but outside of that, no. So, but it sounds like we can talk through some of that later, so.
I think the state only regulates in the right of way, right? 'Cause it shouldn't affect.
You know, that is my understanding, yes. I did have a conversation with some folks from the highway department last week. They couldn't even clearly elaborate on what their requirements were. But I think that has to do with staff changing other stuff. But yeah, the highway would only apply to properties with frontage on the highway and
Well, can I just ask a question on that? If somebody
During the
has-
public hearing, Lindsay.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't want, okay, I'll be glad.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
Not really, just.
Okay, question, Trent?
Building like nice.
Yeah, is there quite a bit of them going up or just one right now?
Just, yeah, with just those two that we've got now, possibly a third, just kind of depends on the cash flows.
All right, now we'll open the public hearing for ordinance 813 at 7:23. Go ahead, Lindsay.
My question is once there is a sign, does it already become an automatic ordinance that it's been kind of not opposed or does it become the rule? If there is a sign that's already lit. That's the way it is with covenants in residential property. They didn't allow sheds, for example, and you build one and nobody opposed that in the neighborhood after it's been there a time period. It becomes a new ordinance, new covenant. As I understand it.
we would need to look further into the law, Lindsay. I understand what you're getting
So
after.
the Cubbies have had a lit sign down there since they were built.
Okay.
It kind of would be the standard, I would think.
Uh,
But we don't want it in the residential area.
And I think
That's
that's where you go back to, I think that's state right away, that question
Yeah.
was, I think the state probably regulates that area.
and I do remember in West Omaha that where I used to live that you have a height ordinance on a lot of their signs. You're on 180. There's certain height orders, nothing over that regardless. But I didn't even know they had restrictions on that. And I'm not for big yellow McDowell's like
Yeah.
places saying. As long as it's not disrupting our sleep.
Exactly, yeah.
Kyle, you're in a different spot there. You're gonna have light signs everywhere you.
Anybody else? All right, we'll close the public hearing at 7:24. Looking for a motion to approve or deny the first reading and or waive the following two readings.
We'll make a motion to approve ordinance 813 Kirby Gum zoning text amendment request allowing lit signs in I1, I2, and B3 zoning districts, as well as waive the next two readings.
Second.
Motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 813 Kirby Gum zoning text amendment request allowing lit signs in I1, I2, and B3 zoning districts and to waive the next two readings was made by Schminty and seconded by Lawton. Smith,
Yes.
Lawton,
Yes.
Schminty,
Yes.
Chittenden.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks. Acceptance of updates in the handbook, Robert, or Bob, sorry.
I can go by Robert too.
Yeah.
Let me get
Did anybody have any specific questions? I know you guys have had it for about a month.
I read through it again. You didn't make any changes since you sent it out last time.
No,
Okay.
it's as it was.
Yeah.
No question, looking for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the updates to the current employee handbook.
I'll second that.
A motion to approve the updates to the employee handbook was made by Lawton and seconded by Smith. Lawton,
Yes.
so Sheminti.
Yeah.
Chittenden,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
We will try to come up with a fail-safe way to keep this version current and not have several versions floating around, so.
It makes it really simple. Like, throw everything away. Yeah. Delete them off the server. Yeah.
Really not.
Alright, Blue Cell, this is something I brought up. I think I was able to read this, but Blue Cell is a tabletop exercise company, also an emergency management company. They're based out of Aurora, Colorado. What they do is they'll come in and do a full-scale incident as a tabletop, which would include everybody that basically you could think of that would be involved in some kind of natural disaster, some kind of, and you name it, we can do it. They do it. For example, UTAN, we're here, we get a tornado that wipes out the whole county. It's gonna include so many multiple entities in between us, the school, the fire department. Sonic County Emergency Manager, the state of Nebraska, like, it pulls everybody in. What these guys do is they'll come and do the full tabletop exercise, where it's like the real deal and like it really happens. They'll go through the processes of how you activate things, how you activate a natural disaster, how you. I don't know the right, easiest way to go about it, other than it's an all-inclusive training. I got a quote from them, it's roughly for 40 to 50 people. Bob and I kind of sat together, wrangled off the people who would be in that same room during something like this. That's kind of how we came up with the numbers. And as well as, you know, our emergency manager, sheriff's office, the school, fire department, local citizens, this council, school board, employees of the city, and what everybody's role is gonna be. And they come here and do it, and they'll also do like an after action, to go run the incident, we'll do it's an 8-hour deal. They'll do an after action at the end. They'll assist you with putting together your own personal plan for an actual disaster or whatever it could be. We've got the preparedness book. That comes from Cyrus County Emergency Manager. It's a whole bunch of copy and paste for the whole county. So it just has all the garbage in it, right? Yeah, generic. Keeps it wide open. No, it's still fun.
So this, the cost is for all of that. Correct?
There's also an element of if we actually had a disaster, that they would be involved in that too, correct?
So if we, so say a tornado went through here and we knew it was gonna be a 3, 4, 5, 6 day incident. We can call them, and if they don't zoom in, they will fly here within 24 hours. And help set up like a hero Stephen. Through the process, which is a fee, obviously for them, but usually they said if they do come, they'll do all the billing, they'll do all the stuff to emergency. There's really no cost to the city.
That would be a situation where it's like a FEMA declared disaster, and then we'll reimburse for that.
You're talking after training.
Correct.
Yeah, they offer, okay.
$7,000, it seems like a lot of money, but I think we could reach out to the fire department and school to see if they're willing to split it, or. I think the fire department would.
I just think. In the world today and being prepared, it's hard to put a price on that, so I think it's a good idea.
I mean, just looking at what we just went through. I mean, it's a small scale, right? But like Waterloo, for example, had no power to their wells, or no power to their system. I mean, they had a $1.5 million house, and the only thing that fell through was foundation, because they didn't have water. They start thinking about that kind of stuff and your backups and your real plans and.
I'm glad we had our generators.
That's it. We talked about that.
Yeah.
That's money well spent by our council and our people.
I will tell you up at clerk school last week, there was probably about 45 clerks out there freaking out because none of their lift stations had generators.
The generator run this office too? It does not? Just the fire department?
We're working on, we have an extra one that used to be for the lift
I
station.
remember that, we talked about that at another meeting.
So the process of putting it into a trailer and being able to run the second well down there from the water tower. We could possibly do a connection here.
Yeah.
Well, where you could go to, it's a mobile one, go to any 3 locations, and we have the same hookups. So it's up to you guys.
$140 a person for 50 people, which seems pretty reasonable.
For an 8-hour training day. Yeah.
It'll be, yeah, probably have to be in the summer sometime, so we can do it at school. Trying to pull some administration and stuff like that.
I've done one before. It's been a long time ago, but it's amazing just the little things that come up that you would never think of, and with as many people that their turnover in organizations, contacts that you think that you might know, have changed and bringing new people into the fold that a lot of us have never even maybe met in person before. I think it'd be really helpful.
I assume we can find 7,000 pay for this budget.
Are there any other companies that we researched that maybe do the same thing, or better?
Not that I'm aware of that does the whole scale. We'll do the incident and then come in later as well.
Blue Cell is really well known.
Mhm.
They do a really standardly good job.
They actually ran the fires in California after 5 days. They got called in.
Probably why they got put out.
What's that?
Probably why they got put out.
So you're gonna talk to school board.
Yeah. And that's where, it's one of those things, it's not gonna be in a month, it's something, it'll take 6 months to plan. So it'll be a 6-month out deal, that way everybody can put it on the calendar, try to coordinate a schedule for 50 people is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be a nightmare,
Well, they'll be on site to do the training, or it'll
Yeah.
be via Zoom.
so it'll be, I'm sorry, so it'll be 50 people in the same room.
And our instructors will be there with us. Correct. Okay.
And it also, just Bob and I, when we were running people, right, like. Something, none of us are gonna think about, but you better have your IT people there. Extra computers or, this computer doesn't link to that, or, like. You start thinking about all that kind of stuff.
Where we're gonna get internet.
What's our backup plan if, Rise is down and Windstream's down, which one?
That's a difference. Topic, but we're gonna discuss that as well. Sorry for that.
Yeah.
Stay on us.
That's in Bob's plan.
I guess if you guys, we can sit on it, it's not like a huge, like, I don't know, if you guys wanna do some more research and see if we can find some more companies, I'm fine. This is just one that I know of, I know Home on Fire uses them. So it's just. Like some good recommendations. I think if we approve it, then I would personally go to the board, both boards, say, hey. They're paying for this, are we willing to chip in? And go that way. I think it's our responsibility at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the tabletop exercise with Blue Cell. And to host.
I'll second.
A motion to approve the tabletop exercise with Blue Cell and to host was made by Chittenden and seconded by Lawton. Lawton,
Yes.
Schminty.
Yeah.
Chittenden.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Supervisory reports.
The only report I did not receive was Luke's. Tim's is in the little paper packet with you guys there.
That utility proposal that they sent to.
Basically, the only thing I wanted to bring up, if there would be any interest in pursuing, like different internet before here, like Starlink or something. I was here by myself with no phones, no internet. I mean, and no cell service, and you're just sitting here to like, you feel helpless, like you can't do anything. And it would at least keep our phones operating because they're VoIP phones. And at least keep our phones operating. If people did leave messages, that did go to our email where we could listen to those, but I was driving up by the water tower to check those every once in a while, so. It would be something to consider.
Who's the current provider?
Rise.
It's the right price, but
Starlink's great.
You still have to have power.
You have it, and I think I'm dumping it.
How does it work during storms and stuff like
I
that?
lost internet for all of 10 minutes. And that was because my power went out, and then I ran it off a 2,000-watt generator the rest of the time. And so I was up and running,
who did you have?
Starlink. So that's the only time I lost service in 9 months. One time during the storm, I did have it service slow down. I did have to wipe the snow off it, but it has a built-in heater, so it usually keep up. But
So the
I'd
cloud
recommend it.
cloud cover doesn't affect it then, like a heavy thunderstorm or something.
No, it has to face northwest, and as long as you can get it up in the air with a clear line of sight, no trees, should be fine. If you put it on the roof here, be okay. But you do have to have power to run it, so we have to think through that. It's like $120 a month. The
How much
initial-
does it pull? Could you have some sort of battery operated inverter or something that was up there?
Oh, I mean. You guys could probably figure that out, but it doesn't take much.
I mean, I'm sure you could put it on UPS for.
Is it power at the modem or power at the satellite?
Power of the modem. And then.
It goes PoE up to, I don't know.
There's a cord that runs to it. Yeah, there's a cord that runs to it, and that's what powers the actual unit, and it'll self-align, so if it's cloudy one day, it'll move that dish to better align.
I guess I'd just like to see the cost of it and what it does with the phones. Yes, I don't know how all that.
A thing I just recently discovered, the Milwaukee have a power inverter, you can put them batteries right on and they'll run 110 up to like 10 or 15 amps, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
what,
simple thing, it can run just about anything.
one of those little suitcase inverters would. I mean, that would cover this for them.
The other thing too, I thought was if we do wire up the water tower building. Then also that power, we'll put that generator up there. Cause if they have power, we'd have internet
Mhm.
for Rise,
You still have that power.
You have to have power here. How much power we gotta have up there for the generator? For the water tower, 'cause I think it's all just computers. So I can't imagine you gotta have much.
You know, we do a lot of like repeated towers, internet and stuff, on all the CBAs, it's just 20%.
That's it.
And if there's power.
The Rise guy showed up here about 10 minutes before the power kicked back on, and he just had a little generator he was gonna hook up to it.
One of those little longer.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's worth looking into, just power that, I mean, because we lose the. Water tower level,
Yeah.
if we don't have power up there.
Yeah. Maybe you can run all that off on those.
Which is a little bit, we have to 5,000 kW, right? Small.
I mean,
Starlink equipment, it usually runs 400. They may have dropped the price to 300. It's on sale right now for 150. It's 120 a month. And then you probably have another $50 in amount, and then maybe another 90 if you want to go with the long cord. That long cord, I think it's 150 foot, maybe 120 foot. I have to look at it. But all in, you're gonna be The equipment will be probably $500 if that, and then 120 a month.
I would just double check the price.
Yeah, let's see a quote.
Well, but also the main issue is getting power regardless of who the provider is as well, so.
I don't know if there's different packages for residential
Yeah,
versus
just
public sector, but like. The way it works is once you get it mounted, it knows where it's home. You can't take that and move it a bunch and like travel around the country with it. They got a different device for that.
And then I just got quoted for another little Honda. Those really quiet generators, I think it's 2,000 watt, it's 8,000,
How much?
1,000. So,
That's right.
that's a good one. I mean, you can buy a weight like a Champion or something from Mars for $300. You're getting something for $300 too.
Is this gas heat, electric heating here?
Electric. We don't have any gas in
So
here.
we probably, and that's what we told the big.
I was just thinking, in an emergency like that, we want a generator big enough to keep the heat on in the building for stranded people, like you got the firefighter station, there's their gas station.
If it was gas, then it'd be no problem.
I can move there, that fourth quarter was around 10,000, maybe.
This is a very familiar conversation that we're having it for a week now. Well, can I run off this generator?
So it starts going.
Yeah. Now, I'd like to see prices for.
Next month.
I think we need to go for that. Run the garage and figure out what we can do.
We got anything else?
I got one thing, pickleball courts are in kind of rough shape after the winter. So those like black tarps that kind of block out the sun. A lot of those zip ties ripped off, there's one panel laying on the caddy corner fence there is ripped, I don't know. You order 2-3 panels and then spend some time, probably 3-ish hours putting zip ties back on some of those. And then the gates have actually slipped down, so the gates are sitting on concrete, you have to lift up on the gate. So if we get somebody up there and get those gates realigned, even the locking mechanism has been bent out. I don't know if it was banging against that pole in the wind or if somebody slamming on it, I don't know.
I think that was from the.
Yeah,
And I'm totally with you, I think it's, I talked about it. I wouldn't mind seeing those wind screens come down. They just get ripped out.
Agreed, the, one of those covers over by the playground is all tore up, triangle one. Same thing, so.
I would assume those black tarps are there to block out the sun while you're playing.
Wind,
Wind, that's what it
yeah,
is.
wind breaks.
So like,
They're, those that were installed weren't the heaviest of duty either. A lot of it was the eyes were ripping out of the turrets themselves with the wind. And I don't know if that's the case with what's up there. Some of them it was the zip ties breaking and others it was ripping the eyes
I
out.
did see some groundlets on the ground.
Isn't there fiberglass slats that you run through chain link that kind of do the same thing? Maybe that's,
I think that's more for like privacy, as opposed to wind block. You know what I mean?
that's true.
That's
I would think that breaks some of the wind. but-
I mean, I'm not a pickleball expert.
Where's Ken at? Let's
You
call
gotta have
Ken.
it controlled. Somewhat,
Okay.
but I think we just need to start. Taking them down.
Agreed.
Yeah, but I mean, if we can get somebody up there before it gets nice in the next couple of weeks. We'll start playing them very.
Build a gate into the private line, right? Need to be loosened, lifted up, and retightened.
Same thing with the gates.
Is that?
Marty, what are you doing?
That's on.
Help me fix that.
I'm assuming that's on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deal, but tight, like tensioning up those nets a little bit.
On the
Like, there's-
west side.
I'll get them there.
Just checking.
We'll,
hinges.
we'll prioritize it. We'll probably get the alleys and streets and stuff clean first.
And then get it off the concrete. and just tighten
Luke's
back.
been gone for a week. He'll be back tomorrow.
I'm sure.
Well, we can take a good download and stuff. All those guys did. That'd be sad.
Alright, looking for a motion to adjourn. 7:45.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion to adjourn at 7:45 was made by Chittenden and seconded by Smith. Sheminti?
Yeah.
Chittenden?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Lawton?
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, keep up the good work, okay, girls.